Hobbs has now more than doubled the previous record of vetoes for a single session. Now, this shouldn't come as a big shock to anyone, given the Democratic governor is working with a Republican legislature with vastly different priorities. Heading into the session, Hobbs warned lawmakers that she would not sign any legislation based on conspiracy theories or political agendas. Her latest veto includes a list of bills the governor says did exactly that. Hobbs shut down 4 bills that originally dealt with drag shows, the latest target in the culture war. Lawmakers eventually watered down the legislation so it no longer specifically referred to drag performances, but the governor still felt the bills attacked the LGBTQ community. Hobbs also axed a bill that appeared to be rooted in baseless election conspiracies. House Bill 2722 would have allowed counties to replace the electronic count of ballots with the less accurate and more time-consuming hand count. Hobbs also vetoed some less notable legislation today, including one bill she says would have played politics with how the state invests its money. In the newsroom, Dennis Welch, Arizona's Family.